It's Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott. Their combined age, I think, is 240.
I'm not worried about their age. I'm more worried about their wins here at Dover. And those two guys know how to get the job done.
Ricky Rudd actually did start on the pole and has had success here. Let's go back upstairs.
Rudd's won here 4 times, Chris, more than any other track, and with 3 different car owners: Bud Moore, Rick Hendrick, and driving his own car. Jimmie Johnson is the 81st different driver to lead a race at Dover since the first Winston Cup race here in 1969.
There, I just had to slow down to keep it on the ground. It'll just chatter right on up the track. No, I understand why you slow down, but I mean, you have no worries at all about blowing a right front. I mean, none. I might lie to you, but I'm not lying to you right now. How's that?
That's what I always told my crew chief. Lie to me, because that truth is killing me.
But Darrell, what Chad Knaus, his crew chief, is trying to tell him there, and that's one thing that we always focused on here at Dover, is the right front tire. I mean, you run around here in 25 or 26 seconds. The right front tire is loaded about 2/3 of that lap. This is Chad Knaus, Jimmie Johnson's crew chief right here. And if you can keep the car a little bit free, just a little bit, not loose, free, it takes the pressure off that right front tire. It's not building all that heat. So that's one good thing about keeping a car free here, or neutral.
And see, a rookie is not sure. Now, a veteran driver, he knows how far he's turning that steering wheel left. And if you're cranking that steering wheel around to the left pretty far, and you're coming up off that corner with that right front all bowed up under the car, that's when you might have a problem. Veterans know how far to turn that wheel.
Here's the 98 winner, Dale Jarrett, locked up in a battle now for 9th with Elliott Sadler in front of him and Robbie Gordon right behind.
You know, this is an impressive run for Robbie Gordon, that 31 car. I mean, he's only been here to Dover 1 time, and I mean, he's been right up here, right on verge of top 10 the entire race.
He ran good last week. I thought he had a great run at Charlotte last week. I mean, for a guy that just come from Indianapolis, and I think he finished 16th last week, and he ran in the top 10 there for a while.
Right.
Pretty good run last week.
And I think that's one thing I semi-question about what Richard Childress is doing, because it's almost like the 31 team, Robbie Gordon, his crew chief Gil Martin, that team just starting to come together. Now they're all going to go away and go over to Kevin Harvick. I think the 29 team needed a change. I'm just not sure it needed to be from the 31 team.
Sometimes an owner, you know, pressure builds. Got 3 teams, neither one of them doing all that great. Pressure builds. Everybody's saying, you got to do something, you got to do something, when maybe he should have waited just a teeny bit longer. It's always, like I said, it's hard to sit on that hot stove and sweat ice water.
Jarrett moves to 9th, Gordon to 10th. Elliott Sadler has now been kicked back to 11th. 27 cars on the lead lap. Jimmie Johnson is leading. His mentor and car owner with Rick Hendrick, Jeff Gordon, right here is in 2nd place. Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, let's check in with his crew chief, Robbie Loomis. Robbie, how does Jeff Gordon like that race car right now?
He's like the DuPont Chevrolet pretty well. This last run right here, the set of tires are a little bit tight right now. We can see where it goes. It looks like our long runs were real good. A real good drive off of the car.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Early on in this race, Dale Earnhardt Jr. drifted almost all the way back to the tail end. Right now he's running 8th. Tony Uri Sr., what have you done to the car to make it so much better?
Well, when the race started, he said the rear wheels actually felt like they had jumped off the race. The car was real loose. He said he couldn't control it. There's no way he could run all day that way. We went drastic on it. Moved the track bar halfway around, pulled the rubber out, changed all the cooling weight in the tires, and stood by that. Now we're back to a little bit too far down, a little bit too tight, so they started inside to free it up a little bit. Plus, we had a good pit stop for a change. Last week, our guys were terrible, and I was late. They did a good job today. We passed 4 cars on the pit road here, and I think we had a race.
Now watch Earnhardt Jr. He's got the same car that he won here last fall.
Right now his position matches his car number, Dick. Harry Gant would be proud of Matt Kenseth. Gant won here 3 times, always in September. And look at the line that Kenseth has been running at the south end of the track. Actually, there he was down about half a lane, but he's been right up near the Dover on the wall.
They are not up there quite in the Harry Gant move groove yet, because you can still see some gray between the wall and the groove. When they get it right, they'll be right up against that Dover sign.
Gant also won the spring race once, but he was Mr. September.
He'd have probably won a whole lot more, but his old car was always duping on him.
Now Matt Kenseth qualified on the pole. was fast in pre-qualifying practice, set on the pole, but the team decided to change engines. He's come from the back before this year, trying to do it again.
You know, we interviewed Robbie Loomis talking about the 24 car, and you heard Steve Burns back in our pre-race show, beginning of the race, talk about how many laps he led here back in the spring. A year ago, 381. One reason he likes his car also, this is the same car that he did that with, and it's picking right up where it left off a year ago.
Ricky Rudd works past Hut Strickland, and Rudd is closing on Jeff Gordon for second place. Mark Martin led 77 laps early, but now it is Jimmie Johnson out in front at Dover. Welcome back to the MBNA Platinum 400. 19 laps to halfway. Jimmie Johnson leading his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, the defending Winston Cup champion Jeff Gordon, who's looking for his first win of the year, while his rookie protege has already won. Ninth place, Dale Jarrett
having a pretty
Robbie
good,
Gordon have caught up to Earnhardt.
Having a pretty good go of it here. 88 and 8 is. It's going to be 888 here in a minute.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in eighth car. He's running that high side. Gets just a little better bite up on the straightaway, off the corner on that high side.
Just get a lot better run down to the straightaway. You don't have to deal with that big transition from the banking up onto the straightaway.
Here in Michigan, Darrell, the tracks that come to mind where the high groove can be faster than the short way around.
It really can. And again, it's because it lines you up so much better with the straightaway. You're up there high, you get a good look at the straightaway, and you're backing the throttle a lot quicker coming off. Looks ugly in the middle of the corner because the guy will drive all the way up beside of you, but boy, coming off, that's where it pays off.
And they don't put that finish line in the middle of the corner.
No.
So.
DJ gave Junior, he gave him a little wake-up call there. He said, now either go on or get out of the way. So Junior said, I'll go on.
It was almost like through that corner we had Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the high side, Dale Jarrett in 88 behind him about the middle of the racetrack, and Robbie Gordon in the 31. He was so low you couldn't even see him. Look, he's all the way at the bottom of the racetrack here.
Short way around.
And that's the difference in how the cars are handling. You just got to find a place where your car will feel pretty good and you can use the throttle as much as possible.
And that's why this track is sold out.
Yeah.
You get to see so many different lines and so many different races within the race here.
You can go in these corners. You can be 3 or 4 wide in the middle of the corner, but you can only be about 2 wide coming off.
Here you saw that group go by Mark Martin, the 6 car.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, sitting on the front porch, talking to JJ.
Now, I've got to ask you, Darrell, you're Jimmie Johnson, you got a 2-second lead. Is this boring to be out there and just, you got a big lead? What are you going to do but put on laps and put on laps?
He's a young guy. This is a whole new deal for him. It ain't boring, I promise you.
Okay.
Guys, one of the men that's really having an outstanding run here today is that 55 car, Bobby Hamilton. Started back there about 19th and slowly but surely, 13th that is, and climbed his way up here to 6th and putting a lot of pressure on our point leader, Sterling Marlin. As a matter of fact, he's making the pass right now. Got a really good-looking race car. Car looks like it's working really good through the middle of the corner, and this is a great run from Bobby.
Yeah, it is, Jeff. I watched him a long time early on in the race, and he was really, really good right around the inside of the racetrack.
I mean, that's still where he's at, is right on the bottom. We see the telemetry here down about 7,200 in the middle of 1 and 2, about 5 1/4 seconds behind our leader, up to about 8,800.
Boy, he's so quick through the middle right there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's around the bottom, right around the bottom. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Larry Mack, the sleeper today, might well be that 55 car. On his first stop, they made a wedge adjustment. Since they haven't touched it on his last stop, all he called for was 4 tires. He's slowly creeping his way up. He didn't lead at all here last year, but he started almost the same place. He started 17th last fall and finished 10th. He's slowly working his way up. He could be a factor before the day's over.
Oh, I guarantee you, man. And what's good, I think being back with his crew chief from last year, Jimmy Elledge, coming back on board after being at the 88 car at the beginning of the year, it's almost like they're starting to come together again.
And I totally disagree with Matt. He's not slowly creeping up. He is coming in a hurry.
Ward Burton on pit road.
And this is about 20 laps early than what we probably see most of our leaders come to pit road, but Ward has been wrestling that Caterpillar Dodge all day long.
Yeah, this may not be for tires and fuel. This may be for a little driver relief. Just give him something to drink and cool him off.
Steve Burns.
Mike, we just heard Jeff Gordon radio into Robbie Loomis. He said, I've got the worst push I've had all day. Robbie Loomis said 10-4. We'll fix you up when you stop here in just a little bit.
Yeah, Steve, I think this is when this racetrack really starts to get rubbered down on the racetrack, and the more rubber that gets down, like most everywhere we race, even though it's concrete, the car will push worse, turn a lot less.
Plus, with cars running everywhere, the whole track gets rubber on it now.
Ward Burton's back on the speedway. Matt, what was the problem?
Mike, I talked to his crew chief, Tommy Baldwin Jr. He said Ward wanted some tires and wanted them soon, so we brought him in.
That's why I say that was a driver request right there. I'm coming in, and I'm coming in now.
7 laps from halfway on the Monster Mile, with Jeff Gordon trailing Jimmie Johnson by 3.4 seconds. 2 laps to halfway. Jimmie Johnson now leading by 3.8 seconds. One of our Fast 5 qualifiers having a problem. Kurt Busch cut down a right front tire and has made a pit stop just a little bit early for scheduled stops.
Yeah, but it felt right. It's a pretty good time to make one, Larry, because it's not that much early, maybe 10 laps or so, and he did have a right front down.
No, I mean, we're within about a 10 to 15 lap window when all the leaders are going to be on pit road. The downside, should the caution come out before all the leaders come, then you're going to be sitting there 2 laps down.
So it's 2 Chevys and then the Ford of Ricky Rudd, who actually took the green flag in the pole position. Bobby Hamilton has climbed up to 4th place. Let's check with Steve.
Hey, Mike, Ricky Rudd riding in that 3rd position. He just radioed in and told his crew he's going to try to get around Jeff Gordon before the pit stop because he's pitting just in front of the 24 car on pit road and wants an easier shot into his pits.
I mean, Steve, Darrell, we talk about that so much, and if you can coordinate that on a green flag stop, it's beneficial for both race teams.
Yeah, we got a car slow down here in the middle of 1 and 2. That's Brett Bodine. I don't think he's going to get down out of the way.
And here's the best battle on the racetrack, Darrell. Casey Atwood just worked his way past Robbie Gordon, and Mike Skinner has caught that bunch as well.
Brett Bodine, I think he may have had a tire go down. I couldn't tell. He took off up the track as if something like a tire. These long green flag runs, if you're going to have some tire problems, they're going to start showing up.
Mark Martin led 77 laps early, but you see the damage as he got collected up in a crash between Ryan Newman and Steve Park.
That was a pretty car about 100 laps ago. That thing's ugly now.
And he looked like he was definitely on track to win 2 in a row, no doubt. Jimmie Johnson, he's about 4.4 seconds out front of his teammate, Jeff Gordon.
Brett Bodine, flat right front tire. Now that's 2 in a row here. And like I say, we're in that pit window. Tires are hot. If you run over anything much at all right now, they're worn. You can cut one down.
And Kyle Petty backing up. He's now dropped out of the top 10.
You know, Jeff, we always do it. I know Darrell rolls his eyes back in his head. He don't want to hear nothing about it because we're just about 4 laps past halfway. But all the leaders were on pit road at lap 126. If we can run the minimum of that fuel window, which is 85 laps, that means somewhere around 211 we have to be in. At 211, that's going to be tough to make it on one more stop. We have to run 95 laps and 94 laps. So this would be the run. I want to stretch it as far as I probably can, but I don't want